Hey, Slanja, y'all. Welcome. Bienvenue to Scotch on the Bayou. It's third Tuesday of the month. Good to see everyone. Thanks for being in. I'm super excited about this show. I'm really excited that we can have this show, that I have electricity and internet after Francine decided to blow in last week. Thankfully, she was quite drunk and took a right instead of coming up straight as she was, and missed most of us here in Baton Rouge. But of course, wherever she goes, she does a number. So thankfully, I hope hopefully Trooper will join us tonight. Trooper just got power back yesterday because his area got really hit straight on. So we're thankful that Francine is gone. We've got power, we've got lights. We just had a little tree damage, little as in a tree fell down. Mark's been lumberjack mode, but otherwise we're great, and no damage to the house or anything. All the family is good and well. So just want to say hello. Look at Whiskey and Wine Trail. Oh, Tom, my friend, you have back to reality after your whirlwind Scottish trip. I can't wait to hear more about it. And while he is on, and I know he's on, I want to say again, thank you, my friend, for this absolutely gorgeous stave stand for drams. I mean, this is absolutely stunning. I know you said you weren't going to be doing much more woodwork, but this is absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for thinking about me, Tom, because it's absolutely gorgeous. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm gonna keep it up on the bottle shelves for sure, so I can see. So good to see you in. Mike's in. Good evening, everyone. Hello, my friend. Graham, good morning. 2 a.m. in Sterling. Are you on a train? I never. So you are again in the middle of the night. Yep. Dry and mild. That's amazing. Two things that normally is not in Scotland. Thanks for being here, friend. I know you know some of these brands we're going to be talking about because they're always in your neck of the woods. But thanks to these folks that we're going to bring on in a few minutes, they're finally going to be available to us. So I'm thrilled about that. Rob's in. Hey, good to see you. Chris knows about these folks. Hey, Chris, good to see you. One of my fellows Iowa Whiskey Academy buds. Malt Minion is in. Patreon right there. Thank you, friend, for being in. Awesome. Tater Dom is hello, everyone. Good to see you too. Yes. Awesome. BR Scotch. Kevin's going to be here in October with some other amazing drams. We're going to get in lots of trouble. I'm glad you made it, friend. Good to see you. Mr. Broda, hello. Mark, good to see you too. I think you're going to be really interested in what we're going to be talking about tonight, because these are some bottles that we have not been able to get over here for a long time. So that is really pretty cool. Love it. So yes, tonight we're going to get right in it. I am so very happy to have these folks on. We've been talking for a good little bit. You probably have seen them popping up around because your eye goes to that Scottish flag on Instagram and you think, hey, wait, Scotland. Yes, I want to see what that is. So kudos on the marketing for there. But I want to bring in my guests, and those great folks are Melissa and Howard Sachs from Scotch Drinkers Only. Hey, friends, how are y'all today?
Hey, Leanne. Thanks for having us on. Hi, everyone.
Thank
Hey.
you. It's great to be here with you.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to do that, and sending some samples on, because um, there's it's crazy when we think about independent bottlings that those of us who are lucky enough to be able to go over to Scotland may have exposure to. But when we come home, they're sure not going to be on the shelf of our local, grocery store or our liquor store. But you all are bringing these things over, and we're going to talk about some of those drams tonight. Um, and what you're doing, what Scotch Drinker Only is, and all of the things. So let's talk about maybe this first dram, and then I want to hear what is your company? How did it start? Why are you doing what you're doing?
Yeah, so let's start with the Dumbarton Rock. This is a delicious blended malt. It's 100.
Oh, one more time. Hold up.
100% malt. It's vatted 5 different ones. One is a little sherried, and that comes through. It works really well neat. Sometimes if you're in a hot climate like Florida, it's okay on the rocks. And then it also works pretty well. It holds up. We like to do it with spicy ginger beer, but just very versatile, really great dram. The kind of product we saw in Scotland, we didn't see in the US. So I'll pour a couple.
So this is a blend. It's 4 Speyside malts and 1 Highland malt. And Kenny McDonald, he's the co-founder and owner of Dràm. He has a really good relationship with Ian McLeod Distillers. So if you're familiar with them, I can tell you that one of the malts in here rhymes with Bandu.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful label too. I'm not sure your guests can quite see it.
Yeah.
The artist did a phenomenal job, and we still have some of batch 1 in the US. It's the last.
And what's the ABV, Howard, on it?
46%.
So 46 non-chill filtered, a blend of 5 malts.
5 malts.
No grain. I mean, it's a blended malt,
No
right?
grain. Yeah, the first time I sampled it and I spoke with Vic McDonald of Dràm Group, who's the producer, I remember telling her, there's a lot of malt in this blend, and she made sure I knew. Look, it's 100% malt, which Kenny says that is a lot of malt. So it wasn't.
That is 100%. It's a lot.
But it's
wow,
really good. I get a whole lot of whole lot of interesting flavors. I get honey and vanilla, and I get a little bit of fruit.
So I want to let everybody know that the entire list of drams we're having tonight is in the description of the live video. And not only that, but the links to each of these bottles to their site is on there as well.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to follow along in a separate window, go pop on there, and you can read all about it as we go through.
Yeah. They're available at scotchdrinkersonly.com, which is the portal that we set up to make these more accessible and easy for people to find and to support the producers, so people could go to one site and quickly gain access to all the different bottles that they produce and are available in the US.
So, I mean, the nose, I'm getting almost that sourdough starter kind of malt on it, with a little, I get the honey sweetness for sure. Maybe because that was my first sip, it was a little warmer than 46 than I would think, but
it's a good starter dram. It gets your palate accustomed to that you're going to be drinking some whiskey.
I don't know if you can see how pretty and oily this is. Nice, long finish. Good gravy.
About the artwork on the bottle, it's actually a picture of Dumbarton Rock, which is an actual place in Dumbarton, which is about 20 minutes outside of Glasgow, which was where Vic and Kenny live. So it's kind of a nod to their hometown with this blend that they have out.
So Howard, hold that all the way up to close to the camera, like push it all the way.
It's not going to, but I'll do it for you.
Yeah, you can get it really close and down a little bit. It might. You never know. Okay, but the thing is, thanks. The thing is, you can see it online. It is really beautiful. I went and Googled it real quick. I was like, oh my gosh, that's coming in the River Clyde into Glasgow. It's just west of Glasgow.
Yep.
So that makes a lot of sense. So
and it's a beautiful place to visit. I would recommend if you're in the area and you're looking for a day trip from Glasgow to see the sights a little bit, that you can climb up the Dumbarton Rock and there's like a little
there's a castle
there. It's a good time, and there's beautiful sights and photography and maybe a little rain if you're lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I see Sugar Kitty is in, and Graham's like, yep, the good folks at Dràm for sure. And he was asking me about learning more about independent bottlers. With David Stirk's book is just spectacular. Yes, I'm still soaking that one up, and I know he's got a new book now too. So we'll have to look at that one as well. But yeah, the whole independent bottling is interesting because, especially, I think I got more of an exposure to it this last trip. Really, even over in November at the Glasgow Whisky Festival. First and foremost, Graham himself gives me a bottle of Old Perth, which is not something that we see over here, at least not in my area. And that blend was out of sight, and I have put it in blinds. I've had people swear it was a 20-year-old Macallan. I've had, because people have such a perception of what something is with certain marketing, and being able to bring some of these drams. I saw Lady of the Glen over there. I saw Dram Maor over there. And I'm like, well, I don't know anything about that. And then it was, I think, Graham, it was Chris Grieve who said, Haley, try this Dram Maor. And I was like, holy moly, something completely new and different, because it wasn't something I encountered over here or even over there in some areas. It was pretty interesting. You'll find, if y'all don't know Graham, find Graham, learn Graham. But so Ian McLeod, to go back to their point of that Tamdu owns Glen and Tamdu. Yeah, I would definitely say that's a pretty sure bet. That's great. So
we were thrilled to be able to bring such a high quality blend to the U.S. because a lot of times the more artisan blends don't make it here, and to be able to work with Kenny and Vic and to find a path and a route to market in the U.S. with them has been a really good experience. It's been a lot of fun to share it also in the U.S.
So, and when you think about, we just don't have blended malts. I mean, we've got, you've got your monkey shoulder and you've got naked grouse, naked malt. Now, you don't have a whole lot of commercial availability of that at all,
But it's
maybe
such
some compass box, but you're going to have grain in that half the time. So, that's very nice. I'm going to be spending some more time with that one. I could see where you would want to do that in a cocktail, but my heavens, that's lovely neat.
I agree.
Yeah, it both ways. Yeah,
but works really well.
We've had success at festivals with people who say they don't drink Scotch. Those bourbon people. Mixing it up a little bit with them.
God bless those bourbon people. Spend the whole weekend with them.
Yeah. We need them to consume the bourbon so that we have the spent barrels to
sound like the sherry. Go drink a sherry because we need the barrels. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, goodness. So we can get into the next dram, but I want to hear, how did two Americans from the deep South and like me, you're from Florida, we're down here, the coastal kids. You're on the East Coast, I'm on the dirty coast. How in the world did you get started or even think about starting something as easy as being able to do that?
Yes.
Because I got to tell you, that takes a lot of institutional fortitude to deal with our distribution system to begin with.
So I probably would tell the story differently than Melissa. It might be kind of fun to do one day, like Melissa in one room and me in another, and then like we can put them side by side. But my background was international tax and process consulting, and I did consulting services for some very large multinationals. And one of my clients really liked having his meetings in London, so he would fly the rest of his team over there and the consultants over there. And I was over there for several weeks. And Melissa said, "You're pretty close to Scotland. Why don't you go up to Scotland for a long weekend?" And I did. And I went to Edinburgh and I went to Speyside, and I did this like crazy walking tour in Speyside where this lady put a dram around your neck and had a backpack full of scotch and told you all about independent bottlers. And I called up Melissa and I said, "You have to come here. This is fantastic. I've never experienced anything like this." And we planned the trip, and Melissa like picked out all these like great places, and we visited more distilleries. So we did Strathisla, and we visited Dornoch, where the Thompson brothers are, and stayed at their hotel.
Oh, wow.
Witnessed that. And I came back to the US, and the independent bottlers that I was loving really weren't widely available. And we were in Pennsylvania at that point, so it was even like slimmer pickings in terms of what the control state would offer to you. And it was disappointing. It was just really disappointing. And I had spent, Melissa's a CPA and did financial reporting, and I did all kinds of wacky taxes. So doing paperwork to file with the TTB to get the licenses in the US and reading all the regulations of the state, it seemed like a normal activity because I would be reading taxes.
You were definitely in your comfort zone, right?
Yeah,
and you did every day just for other people.
So it's just like, okay, we can do that. This is how we would do this. This is the license we would need. This is who we would need to work through. And I think we can do that. And so we took a different approach than I think a lot of the market did. Some of it was just opportunity because the US relaxed rules so that you didn't need to do 750 mils. You could go 700 mils, and that made it a lot easier. Prior to that, you needed to have special bottlings for the US. What I think is really fun is to try to bring in a broad amount of different whiskeys so that people can try different ones. What had been done previously, and it's still fun, is a lot of you might have a producer that's an independent bottler, but you'd bring in a single barrel for the US market.
Yeah.
But I think whiskey is pretty global, and it's fun, and it's a global community to sample the same single barrels. And so what we've tried to do where we can is to participate with the bottlers that we think have really interesting products. So what we're going to sample now is a CREE, and so it's a single barrel CREE from the Balblair Distillery. There's only 273 bottles globally. We're fortunate to get about 10% of the global outturn for this bottle, and it's a fantastic distillery, and we're it's not something you would otherwise see in the US. Now Melissa might say bringing in all of these different SKUs and doing all these product registrations and managing, and this is a large pain. But I think it's a lot. It's a lot of fun to have access to the wide variety of whiskey, and so that's why we started the company. And Melissa, I think, thought I was having too much fun by myself.
Yeah, I guess in May 2022, or was that 23? 23. I'm mixing up my years. 23. He started to really ramp things up, and I was still working at my job full time, and he was having too much fun, and I was not having fun doing. So software and accounting and all that kind of stuff. So I joined Howard full-time May 2023. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And
it keeps us busy every single day from 8:30 until as long as we let ourselves work out, I guess I'll say.
I usually
I'm
try to
picking you up tonight.
at dinner.
Yeah,
At
we
dinner time.
usually try
cut it
to
off
stuff
then.
around 6.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for going a little late tonight for sure.
Ah.
So this is, you said Balblair, the CREE 10-year first fill bourbon.
Yeah.
Beautiful hay color. Love that. Let me do this so we'll look at it. That, not me.
Yeah.
And it's 52.4 ABV.
52.4, yeah. It's a single cast, natural color, not chill filtered. And it's Martin and Jane Armstrong that are the producers, and another husband and wife team that are really fantastic to work with. We were buying barrels of whiskey to age for ourselves when they made us aware that they were going to start this label, and it's a privilege too to be able to import and share this with the U.S. market. It beautifully designed. You probably can't tell, but there's gold foil and emboss. It's just a really great label. And if you're a bit of a geek like me, Martin gives you all of the technical details, such as when things were filled and bottled and the exact dates.
Oh, we all love that
Terrific.
fine print.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm really digging the nose. I get a slight, a little bit of a tropical note on this.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, we
We had
wrote
cantaloupe.
our notes down too.
We had
Cantaloupe, yes. It was like,
strawberry.
it's not banana and it's not
I had
watermelon.
Yeah. Today I got juicy fruit on it. I didn't have that previously, but I got like juicy
I can
fruit
see that.
chewing gum.
Oh goodness, I want to jump back in the chat real quick and say hey to Four Leaf Whiskey. She's an absolutely wonderful channel. She does Irish whiskey, and she is about to go, I think, you're 3 days away from leaving for Belfast for your big trip. I'm super stoked for you, Stacy. That's awesome. Trooper, hello, friend. I'm so glad you're okay. and you're good. And that evidently termites and carpenter ants do not make a good combination at oak trees. Thankfully, he did have a huge, enormous big water oak look like fall, and it just missed buildings. So you're living right, Trooper. You really, really are. Yeah, and Sugar Kitty, absolutely. There are some Compass Box, those blended malts, Douglas Lang's, perfect. Yeah, perfect. And yeah, I saw Graham make this comment too. We do get JW Green. So Johnny Walker Green is actually my favorite Johnny Walker.
It's a good product.
Yeah. If I'm going to have that, then if I'm going to have Johnny Walker, then it'll be green if I could pick. But yeah, we do have those. But Graham, when you and I were walking around Glasgow Whiskey Festival, and there's all these independent bottlers, none of that is here. None of it is here. We'd have to buy it from someone over there and have it shipped over for sure. Hey, Daniel, good to see you. Thanks for being in. Thanks for being a patron. Swamp Gator. I love, we just little plug here. We just launched Patreon, and we've got 3 levels. We have swamp gators, big cats, catfish, and mudbug crawfish. And I've already got some folks in tonight. A couple mud bugs and a swamp gator or 2. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun with that. But this nose is so good.
This, I have to confess, is one of my favorites on the first import.
Yeah, it's fun
So
with
good.
indie bottlers that they can do experimental casks, but like whiskey flavored whiskey, something like this where they said this cask is pretty good. We're just going to bottle it as it is. These are terrific when you find those casks.
Well, when we spoke before, we talked about, I shared my love for just a first fill bourbon. A first fill bourbon is like quintessential Scotch to me. it's the foundation for everything else, I think. Wow. I mean, I've always liked Balblair. Um, this almost has an effervescent kind of like a fizzy finish to it.
Yeah, I get a long, lingering cinnamon, and maybe that some of that like cinnamon is what might be contributing to the effervescence. Like,
Yeah.
it is long, and it's really pleasant on the
I don't want to
palate.
say pop rocks, but you know what I'm talking about? Like it just sits there and has a dance on your palate. It's very nice. It's very balanced. You have a sweet to it, but it also has like an underlying savory note.
Yeah, I get
I'm
like
not.
almond butter on the palate before
Hmm.
it finishes. And so Martin and Jane are in Creetown. It's about 2 hours south of Glasgow. It's a beautiful site that they have. They've got thousands of barrels in their warehouse. They host barrels for like a very large amount of independent bottlers separate from themselves. It's an incredible operation they have. They bottle on site there. It's just super impressive, and it's worth I think the trip to there's a distillery right next to it.
Yeah, so they're about 20 minutes from Bladnoch.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
then if anyone's heard of Crafty Distillery, that is
Yeah.
actually in the same town. That's like a newer distillery. They haven't released their whiskey yet, but they have some pretty good gins and things there. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a region people definitely overlook when they travel to Scotland, but
That's
it's
beautiful though.
gorgeous.
Yeah. We visited there a couple of times. And
That the lowlands are definitely on my list, but it is hard to if you can't get over there all the time, you know,
Yeah.
to get that. But Bladnoch, yeah, that's one of my faves too. Mm, goodness. Hey, Molasses, good to see you in. Um, goodness gracious. So, how does this work? So, how does your site work? You mentioned that it was a portal. How are we able to make purchases through the site?
yeah, so because we operate in the 3-tier system, there's 3 tiers. There's the producer, that would be someone like CREE or Dràm that we're gonna have shortly. They're the producers, and then we're the importer. So we're responsible for importing the whiskey in the middle tier. We work with local distributors in different jurisdictions. So New York has its own distributor, and then California has a distributor. Like, but all the different states within the U.S. have their own fiefdoms, essentially, where they want
Yeah.
local people to buy licenses and to pay the state. And so we work through that. And so then on the top layer, we have our retailers that we work with, and we work with some just amazing retailers to enable our portal. We work with Mashville, and they're out in New York State. And so when you go to our site, you see all the bottles, but when you click on a buy button, it then feeds the buy to Mashville through some technology, and then the retailer is able to fulfill and send the order to the
Okay. Okay. So you're putting the collection together and working with those retailers to be able to allow folks a one-stop shop to find these brands and then be able to have their order fulfilled with the retailer.
And I should mention too, there's some phenomenal other retailers we work with, independent of Mashville, like First Fill Spirits, that's in Saratoga, and Park Avenue, that's in
Midtown
Manhattan, and we work with MCF in Manhattan.
Okay.
So there's other people, but we have really good technology integration with Mashville, and so that's what we enable through the portal for our brands.
Wow.
And for all of you, I know we have a couple people in Pennsylvania. I know Chris has done, I think, 3 orders with him. He's awesome. We do ship to 47 states, the retailer. So most people should be able to purchase directly from the Scotch Drinkers Only site and have it directly to their house.
And if you're in one of the three, then find somebody who can mule it, because we all do it.
It's really up to the retailer and the shippers, meaning FedEx or UPS and some of the others, in terms of what states that they ship into. But that's out of our hands. We don't tell people where to ship in within the US.
Yeah. Stacy was saying, allowing that 700 ml bottle in the US is a game changer. She knows, she works with a lot of the smaller independent Irish distilleries, and she's in Ohio, and you talk about controlled state. But thankfully they're smart enough, because now they consult her as to what brands to bring into Ohio.
Melissa's father runs a whiskey club, and he busts our chops a little bit about the 700s versus the 750s. He's missing the 50, but it's so much easier for everyone to just have the same bottle for a local release, and just change the rear stickers so we have the US warning
compliant.
Okay.
That makes it a lot easier.
Makes the TTB happy.
Yeah, God knows we have to make them happy. Our friends Mark Breda was on. That they just had their first barrel pick, cask pick from Andalusia, Texas single malt, and they, with their labeling, they had to go through hoops and a few times with TTB, and they still haven't come up. TTB still hasn't done the actual sanctioned American single malt definition yet, because they're taking their sweet time with that. So
the TTB has been good to us so far, and same with our regulator.
I will knock on simulated wood for you there.
We've been very lucky, and they've been fantastic to work with.
Oh goodness,
our imports and the labels.
Graham's just such a wealth of knowledge, talking about Balblair, one of your favorites, of course. And I didn't stop last time. I need to do that one next time I over that part. Traditionally used a lot of release vintages. I've got the 90, the 89, the 90. That's that grouping I was telling y'all about. I want to put this independent up with those others, and now they're doing those age statements. Yeah, I know it's marketing shifts, and probably, what you have in the warehouse. And I think Balblair has been one that's been bought and sold so many times, it's kind of hard to keep count. Kiki details. Yeah, we have a lot of fun with that. Again, so you were talking about Martin, son of Raymond Martin Armstrong, who saved Bladnoch.
That is
okay.
Correct.
So he's off. Is that the Aussie?
I didn't hear what you said, Liam.
Are they Australian?
No,
Ireland.
No.
Oh, they're from Ireland. I don't think of Bladnoch. Okay.
From Ireland, actually.
Yeah, he told us stories that as a child he would hide in the still and scare people on tour.
Oh my gosh!
He would like pop out.
Imagine.
Yeah. He grew up in a distillery, and his experience, you definitely can tell his experience.
I mean, he's just got a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
Just very comfortable being there.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty interesting point Graham has too, that he buys as many independent bottlings that he does official bottlings. And I think that's a big testament to the quality of independent bottlings that there are. I mean, you talked about Thompson Brothers and Dorrant Castle, and again, we've just hit really, one or part of another one. Let's talk about our third Dràm, and then let's talk about different brands that you're looking at.
So when we get lists from the independent bottlers, a lot of times we just need to put the order in real quick, and we don't even sample. Sometimes we get some samples. Like Vic is very kind from Maor, and she sends us some samples to try. But sometimes we just get the list, and we have to jump on it, or else it's going to just go elsewhere in the globe. This one, when Melissa saw the list, this was Melissa's pick. So I'll let her talk a little bit. I love it, by the way, but I'll let her chat a little bit.
So it is a 14-year Glen Moray, another one just in a bourbon barrel. And so we've been to the Glen Moray Distillery in Speyside and Elgin, and I thought it was a fabulous tour. And I really loved like when we went there and they had all the different barrels in the warehouse and you were kind of look at them and then smell them and kind of figure out the impact it was going to have on the whiskey. And it was just a really great experience. So when I saw this particular Glenmurray, it interested me because I love what comes out from the distillery, which is a lot of cask finishes, but this Glenmurray is not finished in a wine cask or a sherry cask or, you know, it's just Glenmurray and bourbon. So if you're a whiskey lover, this one allows you to kind of taste Glenmurray just as it is without the finish. And I love the distillery and what they put out, but this really.
And the finishes are fun. Like we have a Marsala
Right.
cask Glenmurray behind us from the distillery, but Glenmurray flavored Glenmurray is a wonderful thing too.
Unadulterated Glenmurray.
Yeah. And it's a good age. It's 14 years. It's been mellowed by time in that single bourbon barrel.
It's very clean and crisp. I mean, you definitely get that, like, almost a honey, a lemon.
When we were drinking this
Malt.
yesterday to prepare for the
Our homework.
I'm so glad I could give you the excuse
I
to
got
prepare.
sticky toffee pudding on it for the first time. And we've
And
had a little bit of time.
Howard's favorite dessert, by the way.
Yeah, so I have plenty of experience in Scotland and in London having sticky toffee.
I'll say I've probably had it once, so I'll divest to you. Oh me, 51.1. Is that correct? No, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's 51.1.
There's-
It's at natural cast strength.
The color is
Natural
just
color.
so lovely. Just it's really light straw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess
for sure.
we should mention, I don't know if we mentioned this, other than the Dumbarton Rock, everything we're tasting tonight with Leanne is single cask bottlings. So.
And so you get a certain allocation.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
some stays there, some gets to come here.
Yes.
Right. So this is what is cool. I could very well have a dram that Graham or Andrew or Chris or Roy or someone over in Scotland has had, you know, we could actually have been able to experience the same thing. Whereas
That's
your point earlier, sometimes it's just a whole cask goes to the US.
Yep.
They'll never. I mean, I literally took Ardnamurchan America back over to Scotland in November because it was US only, and I wanted to make sure my friends over there could at least have some, you know. But here, I mean, we, even though the allocation is small, you're able to get some.
Yeah, we usually get pretty healthy allocations for things. Sometimes I'm surprised at how much of the global allocation they've allowed us to take into the US market. It's they're a lot more often than not, they're very generous with us.
And Chris, big plug for you on this one. For those, if y'all don't know Chris, he's wonderful. Follow him, especially on Facebook for sure. And Chris, I'm trying to remember what you are on. I think the Island Enthusiasts. Yeah, on Instagram. But yeah, I've noticed some of your posts about some Dram Wars, especially that you've gotten from you all. So that's awesome, Chris.
Thank you for the support, Chris. We appreciate it.
He's a good soul, that's for sure. Goodness, I want to see.
And as a Pennsylvania native, we are trying to work with the PA Liquor Control Board to get some of these products onto the store shelves in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So hopefully in 2025, we'll have something. We did submit for the fall cycle, and we're still working through things. But I'm an optimist. I'm very bullish about 2025 and getting it on the fine wine and good spirits shelf in Pennsylvania.
Awesome.
And Pennsylvania natives, I think that's a goal for Howard.
That is one of my goals.
You will carry my stuff. My God is my witness. You will get it in there.
They're nice folks though at the Liquor Control Board. But they have a different problem. Like they have 500 or so stores, and so it's a pretty large scale. And if you think about, how many bottles are in an outturn, so like this Glenmurray, it was only 180 bottles.
Right.
And so we had a pretty large amount of the global, but even if they got the 180 bottles, that's not a lot to put in 500 state-owned stores.
Sure.
But we're working. We're working on it.
Most definitely. Hey, whiskey friend. Thanks for being in, Alan. Good to see you. Appreciate you joining us. Getting Ryan Legend Thompson. Love it. Thanks for being in. Goodness.
Do you get like a pepper and a salted caramel on the finish of the Glenmary? I kind of get like a crescendo of that. It leaves it like a salt, like a bit for me.
I definitely get the salt, the salted caramel.
I was speculating actually yesterday that if I think on the back of CREE it talks about where the river meets the sea, if I remember the back. I think we actually developed some different flavors as a function of it being in Martin's warehouse in Creetown that you might not have got with the distillery having on site, that sea saltiness. And we love it.
Moray pretty close to the sea, right?
Yeah.
And then it went down, so it was matured down south at like in the lowlands, though.
Creetown, Martin's warehouses. If you look out of his second floor, you can see the sea. So he's right at the sea too.
What a hardship to have that view. Oh goodness. Kudos for picking that one straight off the sheet there, Melissa.
That's a good one.
That's really nice. Okay. So let's work on our fourth dram. I'm having so much fun. I hope y'all are learning some things. And again, all of these that we're trying are linked into the description of the of this show. And I will put a note in the comments afterwards to check out the description for the links.
All right. So next we're going to move into a couple drams from the good folks at Maor. So Penny and Vic McDonald, another husband and wife team. So
I'm seeing a theme here. You've got husband and wife and Creetown, husband and wife, Maor, husband and wife. Wow. That's a lot of dynamic.
Yeah. So this one I love, this bottling from Maor. We actually sold out the first import that we had, so we bought the remainder of the stock that they had on hand. And this is a soon-to-be ghost distillery. It's like the Ohio State. It's the Speyside distillery. It's not like one without naming rights. It exists. Right now it exists. We're told December 4th it will not exist.
Really?
But it's just, Melissa and I visited there, and it's
the
coolest
went there
site.
I guess last summer. And it's a beautiful site. It's right off the highway in Kangussie, about 5 miles back, winding around a bit. It's surrounded by a tributary that like meets into the river Spey, like the whole site. And it was an old mill, so they've still got the water wheel working. And we took the tour, and they told us to dip our glasses right in the water and drink from it, and that's right what goes in the whiskey. So it's a beautiful site. It's a very small artisan distillery, and unfortunately, as Howard said, they're about to become a lost distillery or ghost distillery. So,
but I think it illustrates their house style, and so all the bottlers that we have, I think, have pretty distinctive styles, and Kenny and Vic, I think, do a tremendous job sourcing Scotch and sourcing sherry casks, and Pedro Jimenez specifically. And they do the right amount of aging within. It's not overly sherried, although I do like a sherry bomb, but this is just the right amount. It gives you just
because you want whiskey that's been complemented by sherry maturation and not sherried whiskey.
Yeah.
There's too much. Rob, that was really pretty hilarious.
I saw that.
I don't know how it's going to go over for you, but you got a couple of things to fall back on as good examples here. Goodness. I love. There's a little bit of that kind of sherry funk on this. Not sulfur, not that. I think
No, no,
people
no
think
sulfur.
sherry is sulfur, and that I don't. Only certain sherries do I get.
We haven't had that. There's been certain other producers we don't import that sometimes you get that like sulfur note on there, but
Yeah, but
whoever
there's
they're getting the sherry cask from is doing the right thing.
so when you went over that first time, how like were you a Scotch drinker before?
Oh yeah, I like Scotch, but I like bourbon and Jack Daniel. I still like bourbon and Jack, but like it made me really appreciate it in a way that I just couldn't comprehend
Mm-hmm.
before because of the environment and the availability and getting the knowledge and the appreciation that I didn't have of what made it special and I
Yeah.
really liked the bars and the pubs and all the different flavors and variety. I think previously I would enjoy the core range of what was available. So I
Right.
remember, when I initially went over there, I visited the Macallan distillery and I wanted to get up to Glenmorangie, but it was like too far up, so I couldn't. And I went to Glenfiddich, and they're great distilleries with really good products. But when I was in Scotland and getting all the exposure, I saw there's a whole world of things that I didn't previously know. I didn't previously know cask strength whiskey. I knew I really liked, some of the higher proof from Wild Turkey in terms of bourbon,
Mm-hmm.
but I hadn't seen that in the U.S. I saw a lot of stuff that was 40% alcohol and chill
Exactly.
filtered.
I mean, we knew what we had, but
Yeah,
I mean, I guess I in knowing that I knew what I did not like here, and so when I went over and had scotch, it was like wow, it was completely and totally new for me. Because it wasn't something that I had really any reference point here because all I was exposed to as far as whiskey was concerned was really bourbon,
yeah,
and it's not my palate, and I'm happy for those who love it. um, and so I love the idea that you saw something that was valuable, not necessarily even from a monetary standpoint, but a culture and a community.
yeah.
Like, and then you recognized it. And what I love even more about it is you said, "Hey, honey, you got to be part of this," and you wanted to immediately introduce, you know, Melissa into it. First of all, that's big kudos for a good, healthy relationship. If you can work with your spouse, this is a really big deal anyway. And I hope you don't get asked this, Melissa, but I mean, I've been asked enough times, you're a woman, you like whiskey. It's like, oh, bless your heart. Sit down and I'm about to school you.
I don't think
But
Melissa's been asked that.
not really. Yeah.
oh, that's wonderful. I'm
Yeah.
so happy and I hope it never happens to you. Um,
Yeah.
because I think just going straight out and the reason I ask you if you had done Scotch much going over there is because from my own reference point, it wasn't a whole lot available, just other than what was on the shelf
Yep.
and I equated it to what bourbon was, so I didn't bother, until until I'm actually in the motherland and walk in someplace
Yeah.
and get figured out. So
But the
goodness,
people of Scotland were just so generous with the knowledge and the
aren't they?
information and patient. It was just tremendous to go into a lot of the different bars or the distillery tours and to get all the information about what makes different things special and one bottle versus the other. And when we started the business and we started to talk to different distilleries and suppliers, Melissa was shocked when we made calls and we got meetings with managing directors and the distillery founders to talk about sourcing their product and bring it into the US. And people have been incredibly kind. And we've taken a number of trips to Scotland over the years. And as a tax guy, I said to myself, what kind of business can I set up where it's a legitimate business expense for me to go on to Scotland?
We might need to talk. Y'all may need to talk to my CPA.
Yeah, and it's been fantastic.
Yeah, I can see that. Smart, y'all are smart people. That's pretty evident. Hey, Peter, great to see you. And Gregor, time for a dram is in. You would be digging this one, Gregor. It's right up your wheelhouse with this sherry finish.
Do you get ginger on the palate? I get some ginger on the palate of this one. It's like it's complimentary, but it's unexpected.
I usually get ginger on a finish as opposed to a pepper or a cinnamon or a spice.
I get some cinnamon and honey and other notes that we got from the cask influence.
This one I'm getting, I mean, you always, they're sherry, they're stewed fruits, but I like, okay, break it down. What kind of fruit, And it's, you said it was PX?
Yeah, Pedro.
I usually get raisin on PX.
Yeah, definite raisin for sure.
But it's almost got a little bit of citrus in there, like almost a little bit of like what we call y'all may have satsumas, or tangerines, not quite orange and not quite it's more of a like a mandarin orange kind of taste. It's just a hint of it in there, just a little bit of citrus. I'm liking that. It balances well with that raisiny sweetness. Nice spice on the end. Definitely. This is very balanced.
Yeah.
And the ABV on this one is 55.3.
Yep.
Ain't no shabby.
It's incredible value too. We were able to get it on the shelf at under $80 a
for
bottle
a single cask.
For single cask, and it's high proof, as you said. It's 50
under $80, an 8-year-old. Gregor, that would make your Scottish heart sing. Hey, Rick, good to see you. Thanks for being in. Goodness, got some folks coming in again towards the end. Oh, goodness, this is lovely. They've all been very well balanced. So again, you can't always taste them ahead of time, but you have a good relationship and understanding with the bottlers to understand what they're putting together.
We have
make their cut. They're going to make your cut.
We have a pretty good trust that if they put it in the bottle, that it's going to be high quality. There's different styles of whiskey and there's different producers. Like we're going to have the Maor next. Not everyone likes peated, but we trust that if they put it in, that it's going to be exceptional. And if you look at their businesses, like if something isn't good, they have no need to bottle it. All the producers, that there's other things they can do with barrels, and it's their reputation on there that we just know that it's going to be good.
Exactly. Well, that's awesome. So our fifth one. I love the nose on this. I'm so glad I poured them ahead, and then I put coins on top of all of them to let them sit there and do their thing.
For this one.
This one is the only peated in the lineup, so we're doing this one last, of course. So this is from the Glenturret Distillery, also bottled by Dràm. Ruadh Maor is, I guess, the trade name that they use for the Indy bottles of Glenturret. That's the peated Glenturret. Not a lot of peated at Glenturret, but this one is pretty interesting. If you blend to Glenturret, they were recently acquired by the Lalique Group, which is the Lalique Crystal, very, very fancy company. So Howard and I were just there in February or March, I think. And
Another legitimate business expense.
Yes.
Of course it was.
So we did a
Story,
tour.
stick to it.
And then we were lucky enough to make a reservation in their restaurant. So they have
2 Michelin stars.
2 Michelin star restaurant at the Glenturret, which we believe is the only distillery that has a Michelin star restaurant attached to it.
You hear that, Gregor? Foodie friend of mine.
And they served this bottle at the Glenturret
Michelin star restaurant. They have this Maor independent bottle on the shelf in their Michelin star restaurant next to all of the other Glenturret.
That's interesting, and a testament to what it is. A really sweet peat.
Yeah, we like all the different variations of peat. We love Isla peat, but other peats are also interesting and different, and I think complementary.
Yeah. Whiskey and Michelin stars. He's in.
It is exceptional. It's highly recommend.
Outstanding. It's one of the best meals we've probably ever had.
The lunch is very good value. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that linger. Oh yeah. So, again, I get a lot the peat. So I'm gonna assume it's a Highland peat, more of a floral, and very malty. Again, I'm getting kind of like a bread starter kind of thing.
I get graham cracker with this one on the nose.
Yeah, a little burnt sugar on the nose with that. I can see that.
It's just a great bottling. And if you're an independent bottler, you can pick out a single cask that's different and celebrate it. And that's something that if you're a distillery, it's really tough to do in like single barrels, especially at scale, and to properly communicate the contents and to manage them. It's a lot of value that people like Dràm are able to do, where they monitor these casks and they choose when's the right time to bottle it, or if they want to finish it or do something with it. It's just something that we love. That, you know, Glenturret is a great bottling, but having these single casks with the house flavors of the independent bottlers is just you know, as an enthusiast, really interesting.
Yeah.
To go through.
Well, I mean, they're like shepherding their stock, right? I mean, they're keeping track of the flock and making sure that everything's okay, and they're checking on them. They're doing all that due diligence to make sure those casks are going the way that they want them to. Hence the just shy of which one was it? The Balblair that was just short of 10 years. It was
that was our Kalila. That was just shy.
Oh, the Kalila. Okay, we were talking about Frank. Yeah.
Yeah.
In case he watches, we're not going to talk about that part. But yes, that'll be a funny story week after next when he gets.
Yeah. Like, why didn't you leave it? Oh, it was finished.
Yeah, we won't talk about the part. But Graham's talking about, you know, sometimes the independent bottlers will, you know, get a peated spirit, or they'll put the spirit in a formerly peated cask too. So that's interesting.
Yeah, we do have one of those on the website at the moment. That's coming to mind. We have a 13-year-old Ardmore in an ex-Lafroy cask. So you've got, again, the Highland peat, and then you've definitely got that Lafroy Isla
I love
for
Lafroig.
sure.
And so any Lafroig influence that we can impart on any other spirit, I think.
You know, it's funny because most folks here know, like, I was at Oban one day and I was like, oh my gosh, I have found Scotch. Like I'm Columbus. I have discovered Scotch. And then 3 days later, I was on an island, which is this place called Lafroig. And I was like, holy hell, what is this? You know, this is the inside of a barbecue pit. And it's interesting, you know, and I last Monday, I forgot, I wanted to tell people about this. Last Monday, before the storm was hit on Wednesday, Mark and I go to New Orleans to a book signing of Connick McLeod, the Hebridean baker. If you follow him on Instagram or you have any of his cookbooks, he's just this quintessential Scot. You know, I mean, like he's like textbook stereotypical Viking Scotsman. And I was talking to him and it was funny because, you know, he's like, you really do like the peated stuff, because he didn't really particularly care, you know, isn't his favorite. And I said, we're from the South.
Yeah.
You know, we smoke everything down here. You know, we put things on a barbecue pit and everything on a barbecue pit, from vegetables to seafood to every type of meat you can think about. So smoke to us down here is just a different, you know, a food group, basically.
Flavor.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. So Peter says that they've got a whiskey festival coming on in Arizona, in Phoenix, in November. Wow.
Melissa and I will be pouring some on Saturday in Orlando.
Well, Friday and Saturday, actually. Okay. On Friday, we're at the Orlando Whiskey Business Festival. It's in downtown Orlando, and we're the only Scotch vendor at the festival. So please come support us.
Okay.
And then on Saturday, we have a tasting with a club in Orlando that we're excited about too.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, this is really lovely. So what's coming up for you all? I will say that it seems like with what your allocation is if there's something that you want and it's there, you might want to move on it. Because I mean, you only have, it's a single cask. You only have so many bottles, right?
And then Melissa would like to tell people, I think, that it's a good idea to sign up for the mailing list, because certain things are very limited and they just go out the mailing list.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you can follow us on Instagram, Scotch Drinkers Only, and then if you go on scotchdrinkersonly.com and you want to sign up for the mailing list, as Howard said, a few weeks ago we had something pretty exclusive come through that we just sent out to the mailing list. It was a 20-year-old single cask Ruadh, so that went really quick.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah, it just went to the mailing list.
Wow. And that's good. You're taking care of the people that are buying from you, you know? I mean, that makes only sense on that. So Creetown, Dràm, what other
Glen is
Glen.
Just arrived
this month in the US. So we didn't get to taste through any of those with you tonight, but I know you've had them before. So.
Hopefully you'll invite us back and we can talk.
Absolutely.
There's some really great stuff from Lady the Glen. I was super pumped to bring in a product they have called St. Bridget's Kirk, which is a Solera system they have at Hannah Whiskey Merchants. It's super cool. And he's got 3 casks together that are different flavors, and they get about 200 bottles per outturn of this. So we got a good amount. St. Bridget's Kirk. And then we've got a couple single casks. So we've got a Scotch Drinkers Only, the 9-year you mentioned before, that's an octave, that's US exclusive. This is the one where if it went a couple more weeks, it would have been a 10, but perfect where it is. So they bottled it.
A Kalila PX, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
This is awesome. And
What's the ABV on that one, Howard?
This one is
50.
55.5, and these are just tremendous bottles too. Gregor has a really nice style. You can see they're nice and illustrated. They come in tubes. They've got closures that are custom and anti-counterfeit.
And he hand bottles and hand labels everything in his warehouse. His team. He's got 3 guys that work with him and Doug Getty.
Yeah.
Wow.
Got some really tremendous selections, and he's got an awesome pipe. Melissa and I were fortunate enough to do a warehouse tasting with him from the barrel. So hopefully you'll have us on in a little bit. We can talk through some of the cool stuff that he's supplying us, and then we have Holyrood coming to the U.S. I'm organizing its shipment.
Y'all, that's huge.
Melissa,
we are super excited.
Yeah.
I mean, we love
feel
all
like
bottlers.
You hear it here first. Holyrood is coming.
Yeah, we've made the purchase. We've written them the check, and so they're organizing the shipment.
The pallet, and
we're going to pay for air shipping, so it's in time for the holidays and Christmas. And,
wow!
And things for everyone. So it's gonna get here this year. And we have a small allocation of Arrival that they generously made available.
For anyone who doesn't know, Arrival is their inaugural single malt release, which is sold out.
Yes,
they're holding it.
Really good.
It's
very nice.
Yeah. But their other expressions are also really good. And what we love about Holyrood is how experimental they are, and all the different things that they do with chocolate malt and other yeasts and different casks and finishes and malt varieties.
And I think you know Callum, right? You've before.
I will send him a note tomorrow and say, "Wrap with care, friend." Might that be before it's officially in the U.S.? Leanne, tell me what you're talking about.
We're the importer for Holyrood, so
so they're going to be the one to bring it here. Gregor,
we're bringing it. Yeah. We're their importer.
It's been over a year. Our initial meeting, I think, was July of last. We've been working on it for a while. But.
And Gregor's an Edinburgh boy, so yeah, that's his town for sure. So I got you. Goodness. So another great note. So how can I say? You've been bona fide by Graham. So Graham is our Yoda, if you will. If you don't know Graham, you need to know Graham. But he's able to give us. He's in Sterling, and he's able to give us a lot of inside knowledge over there. That we can't always get. But him being able to bring up the fact that the St. Bridget Kirk is, that those are great value. That's high talk from Graham Fraser. So there you go.
Thank you, Graham.
You might want to put that on your website. Graham Fraser said this, and it might, that's high praise for sure. So you've got those coming in. Any other ones or things that maybe that you may not be able to name yet? You've got Holyrood, which is that's a huge coup,
Oh, yeah.
It's a relatively small distillery. When you look at overall capacity and things like that, but their single cask program is going to be out of sight because they're Mad Max when it comes to all the variations of yeast and malts that they've used. They've done so much experimentation that they're going to have so many different types of single casks that being able to snag those, that's huge, guys. So thank you for working for a year to get that done.
It's up our alley. I think like a traditional distillery would have like a 10-year, a 12-year, an 18-year, but what Holyrood is doing is like next year they're going to have,
maybe we can't announce this, but we have some we probably shouldn't.
But like they're going to have different releases.
I'm going to get a call from Callum.
Yeah. It's really cool what they're doing next year.
Okay.
I'm just such a fan of that distillery and their.
That's a good tease. I don't want y'all to get in trouble because I want y'all to get this.
We're
You got to
gonna
get
try
the
to,
product
yeah,
in the
if you're
States. Damn it.
willing, we'll try to get Callum on the webcast with what's coming into the US to
Yeah.
talk about it officially. But they've got a cool pipeline. We've got one other lowland distillery that we're working with.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll be able to bring for the first time into the US, and they've got incredible stuff too. And we have it. I think we have like a kinship with the approach that they've taken there as well. It's really
Okay.
artisan, it's craft, it's special, it's different from what other people have done.
Very interesting. Well, y'all, we've gone over time. Thank you for your time. These drams were.
My clients would say that to me too, that all the conference calls have went over my career.
I've never had a problem talking,
Yeah.
ever. Ask my kindergarten teacher if she's still around. But these are really nicely presented. I mean, all the ABVs there. I mean, I know I'm familiar with at least Lady of the Glen and Dramore because I've been part of that. But you know, I'm glad that folks are here that are enthusiasts, especially are learning about these and having them validated by the resident Scots that are in the chat too. You know, that because independent bottlers are still not really understood well here at times. So whatever we can do on this channel to make people understand how well and the quality that you can get from an independent bottler, their strategy, why they do what they do, how they pick the cask, do they get the spirit and put it in their own cask, all the different methods that they choose to do their bottlings, I think is the better because it's just informing, getting a consumer more informed to make a better choice, right?
Yeah, we definitely appreciate you exposing us to your audience and your subscribers. Thanks to everyone for tuning in.
Absolutely.
And we did want to offer a special offer to everyone that is on tonight. We'll be offering free shipping over $200. So any order on the website over $200 if you use the code free shipping Bayou. There it is. Leanne's got it up there.
Awesome. So $200 purchase or more and you get free shipping. That's fantastic. And to think that they could ship free to the Bayou is really, I love it. That's fantastic. Well, thank you. That's very generous as were these drams. Yeah.
So Melissa's a CPA and trying to make sure the costs are down, but and we want to get those bottles to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're quite competitive. I mean, in looking at what things are, the other choice is to buy these. You know, I could go to Royal Malt Whisky and buy some Lady of the Glens and Dramores and pay $80 in shipping, which is a little tough. No VAT, but hey, the shipping is oof. You know, I just had one of those come through not too long ago, so that was a little tight, but it's important. Graham, yes, I was able to get and do have an arrival. I have about that much left. So I really did enjoy that. I was able to have that with Callum when I did the interview with him there at the distillery in November when I was last over. So awesome. This is great. Anything else, guys? You want to chat about these? I don't think I could pick one of them.
We tried to send you a little bit of a variety, so they're all good, but they're all a little different. You know?
Yeah, they really are. But they were very consistent. There wasn't one that just consistent as in a balanced flavor. There wasn't one that was just like, whoa, you know, kind of overdone or anything. Really enjoyed them. Very much enjoyed them. Awesome. Well, goodness, I really do appreciate y'all being here.
We appreciate you having us.
Thank you so much for having us on. We appreciate it, Leanne.
Awesome. Thank you. Again, I will. I've put a hint in the description that you need to watch to get the code for free shipping Bayou. So it's not out there for the world. So that's wonderful. This is really important. Back to thanks, Ryan. When will you be doing the virtual tasting for the Lady of the Glen sample pack? You said that was a November time frame.
Since you asked, this is the sample pack. We just put them on the website today. You can see it's beautifully packaged. And then inside we have 5 drams, 50 mils each.
Okay.
We are pre-selling these at the moment on the website, and we're working with Paul and Gregor over at Lady of the Glen to get something on the calendar. And if you purchase one, we will be doing a tasting with them online. I don't have a date yet, but
so no date yet, but go ahead and get that pre-sale, because with a limited amount, you're not going to have those for long.
Yeah,
hopefully you would be able to join us.
Yeah,
too.
we would love to.
Yeah,
if you want to join
I'll
along,
be jumping there.
to have you.
I'll be jumping on that for sure. For sure. Well, thank you so much, guys. If you can stick around for a little bit, I'll say bye to everybody, and then I'll come back and chat with y'all a little bit more. This has been
Cheers.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Great night.
Great. Oh man, this is fun. I mean, independent bottlers are just like a whole new, horizon. And for us, it's always a struggle. I mean, how many did I bring home, in the suitcase last summer? Being able to know that I can get to some here now is going to be a big deal. Again, scotchdrinkersonly.com. Sign up for the newsletter. All the links to what we drank tonight are in the description for this. And you know what the code is: free shipping Bayou. So thanks everyone. I appreciate y'all being here tonight. First, third Tuesdays now, right? So October 1st is our next show, and it is going to be Kevin's coming back, and we are going to be drinking another round of amazing drams, all from closed distilleries, ghost distilleries that aren't there anymore. Ain't there no more, right, Trooper? And that's the way we said after the hurricane comes through, ain't there no more. But we're going to be doing that, so I'm really excited. Again, Patreon, if you want to join and be a supporter, go ahead to patreon.com/Scotch on the Bayou. Channel members, thanks Camp Drummers for all the support as always. And those patrons, you're going to be getting a notice for the new video coming out tomorrow. Everybody else, you'll get to see it on Thursday. And it's all about how I did this lighting DIY project and Frankenstein the LED lights together. It's a lot of fun. Thanks everyone. Hit the like button. Go check out Melissa and Howard's adventure, because they're good people and they're bringing good whiskey to the States. And until October 1st, first Tuesday next month, I'll see you then. Slange y'all.